Hello everyone, I'm Alessandro Zomparelli and I want to share with you some update in the add-on My Face Mask. There have been some improvement according to a lot of feedbacks that we received from the community, and I want to explain briefly here what it has been changed. So when you start in Blender you have three default objects, and in My Face Mask add-on you can press Setup Scene that will basically clean everything and prepare your file for working with the add-on. So it's informing you that you are gonna lose your work if you haven't saved it. Okay, that's not a problem. And at this point, we can import our 3D scan, and we can use OBJ, STL, or we can use other format that we can have here already in Blender. Important, the units are set to millimeter. So it's important that you import a 3D scan that use this specific unit. Otherwise, the mask will not fit. You can still scale inside the Blender interface. So we can import our STL, and I have my 3D scan here. I want to import it. Once the model is imported, we can align, and as I already mentioned in the other video, it's quite important that you align the face of your model in a front view. So the front view is this one, is the green dot that you have here. So what you are seeing here is basically the front view. And usually I prefer to rotate my model using the shortcut. So in Blender I can press just R for rotating. I can press RX for rotating around the x-axis, that is the red one, and rotating again, R, and rotating around the Z, RZ, a little bit. And now I can try to make it as symmetrical as possible according to the Z-axis. Sometimes I like to check also the top view. So for example, you can check better how you are aligned according to the nose. And that looks quite fine for me. Maybe you can just rotate a little bit. Okay. So at this point I can remesh, and this is important in order to reduce the resolution of a mesh. We don't really need a lot of details, so we can reduce a little bit in order to make the whole part of the process quite smoother. But in case you want to improve the resolution, you can change the settings from here. So if you increase that value, it's gonna be more detailed. So it takes some time for elaborate. So if you want a higher resolution model, you can take that, or if you just want to use a lighter version, you can use this one. At this point I can use my brush for define the area, and when I paint I am defining which part of the face I want to cover with my mask. Okay. The part that is gonna consider is the outer border. What's happening inside is not a big deal. Okay, at this point, if I want to subtract, I can use subtract and remove some part. I can add and end again. Okay, I can change the radius from here. And if I'm fine, I can press Adapt Mask. And my mask is adapted to the face. At this point, I may want to choose some settings. For example, I may want to use symmetric border. So I can activate symmetric border, and I can use invert symmetry in order to consider one side or the other side, according to which one looks better. Also, I can align the filter according to the face. So I can use align filter on. It's just changing the view and give me the possibility to move it a little bit closer or more far away. Align in that direction. Sometimes according to the shape of the face, you may consider to move a little bit in order to fit better the shape. And if you want to just move freely, you can just click in the inner circle and you can just move like this. Okay, let's say that we are fine with the position of the filter. Okay, so I can press align filter off. Okay, we are good. And as you can see, in this version there is no anymore the whole alignment, because we are using a different way for the hangs that we will use for the strings, for the elastic strings. And this point we may consider to use some manual editing, so let's use this option as well. I can click and move some point if I want to adjust a little bit my design. For example, here in the nose, I may want to relax a little bit, and also all the small tuning that I may want to do. Okay, let's say that we are fine. Okay, I can end the editing, and I can choose some parameter, for example, the nose pressure. So I can push or pull a little bit the part close to the nose, the thickness of the mask. So you can change a little bit, and as you can see, the filter is gonna change accordingly. So 1.6 is the one that we usually use, and the offset as well. You can define how far you are from the 3D scan of the face. 1 millimeter usually is fine. But the big news in this version is actually this one. You can choose the filter model. So by default, you see the default filter that we have realized we have created with WASP. But from here, you can use other filters. So for example, there is the round one that allows you to change the diameter. So let's say that you have your own filter and it fits the rounded shape. You can choose the inner diameter of this circle according to the filter that you're going to use. Or you may want to use a filter with a round hole inside, like this, and you have some parameter in order to change the shape. So you have a diameter 1, a diameter 2, that is the inner part, a depth, so you can change the depth of this hole, and with wall thickness, that is basically the thickness that you can see from this view. So usually it makes sense to keep the same value that you have for the thickness of a mask, for example, or whatever. And another couple of filters. We have the filter that some people are using from the Roomba vacuum cleaner. So you have some shape that automatically fit this commercial filter. In this case, as you can see, we need to move a little bit in this because it takes more room inside. So you need to move a little bit. Or the Montana mask, for example, some people from the community, they help developing this version using the Montana model that you can find online. And of course, some other filters are going to be added in future, maybe according to the feedback from the community. Or if you have a different model of the Roomba filter, you can use this other model here. At this point, if you are fine with your design, I'm going to use, let's say that I'm going to use the round hole here. If you are fine with your design, you can prepare your model. And as in the old version of the Add-on, it's going to prepare the model here. You are going to see with the colors the overhang in order to check what's happening. And as you can see, in this new version, we have better hangs. Instead of using the hole that can generate some leak of the air from inside to outside and opposite direction, we are going to use these external hangs. And there are some types that we can use. For example, now we are using those vertical version, but there is another horizontal version, that is this one. Of course, more options can be applied. So if you have any suggestion, please add in the comment or report to us if you have different needs. And if you want to just keep it plain, you can keep it plain. Maybe you want to add something else. Let's say that we want the vertical version. And also for the border, by default we created this flat and simple border, but you can choose, for example, to make it smoother. And there are 3 different versions. So this is the large. So let's say that you are printing with a flexible material and you want to have this flexible shape all around. You can use this option. Or if you want the medium, or if you want to make it smaller, you have the smaller as well. Also, if you, for example, are printing with a rigid material, you may consider to use a seal made with silicone. So, for example, we created this version for the seal that have this channel all along in order to attach a silicone material to that. So those are just few options that we have added, but this gives you an idea of the flexibility of this add-on and how you can customize the design. In future, probably we're going to make a video in order to explain how you can make your own customization if you don't like what we have already included and you want to make something more specific for you. At this point, we can add the tag, so we can use WASP, or we can add whatever, ABC 01, insert tag, and we can choose the place that we want to use. And for example, I can go here and ABC01. That's it. At this point, I'm fine. I can press done. And I can export the STL of my mask. STL. I'm gonna save here. Same name, makes sense. ABC01. Okay, export STL. As you can see in this new version, by default is activated the option selection only. So you don't have to keep in mind to activate it manually. So by default is already selected. Export STL, and that's it. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please let us know if you have any feedbacks, any issue, and we will help you. Thank you.